Hello everybody and welcome to episode 1 of the MoneyShift News Show. This is going to be a weekly news show coming live every Wednesday where we will condense the week's automotive news into 10 minutes or less. So with that time restraint, let's get right into this week's news because we do have some awesome news topics to get to you today. News number 1 comes by way from the fine folks over at Ford Motor Company. Ford has announced that they are going to be increasing the production of the F-150 Lightning. Now, what the heck does increasing production mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means, okay? It means that they're going to be increasing the number of F-150s they're going to be making per year. Now, if you remember early on, Ford said it had planned to increase the capacity of the factory from making 40,000 annually to 80,000 annually. And that was a really big number because with 200,000 pre-orders, being able to double the amount of yearly Lightnings created meant that those pre-orders were going to be milled through a lot quicker. But 80,000 a year means that it's going to take a couple years to get through that 200,000 backlog, and we would probably end up having a similar scenario to what Ford currently has with vehicles like the Bronco and vehicles like the Maverick, two cars that are in very high demand, and you have people that have had, in some cases with the Bronco, orders for over a year with no truck to show for it. Well, Ford has good news for you. Ford has assembled a small task force assembled with folks from manufacturing, purchasing, strategy, product development, and capacity, and they have solved, theoretically, the problem. Ford says, quote, with nearly 200,000 reservations, and this is a quote from Kumar Galhotra, the president of the Americans and International Market Group at Ford Motor Company. With nearly 200,000 reservations, our teams are working hard and creatively to break production constraints in order to get more F-150 Lightning trucks into the hands of our customers. And apparently, they did just that. Ford says they have increased the planned capacity of the factory that will build the Lightning to 150,000 annually, which more than doubles the reported number of 40,000, and it almost doubles Ford's scaled up number of 80,000. And that's not even the craziest part. Ford says they're going to do this by mid-2023. That means that in theory, by the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, Ford will have milled through all 200,000 reservations. So if you have a reservation like I do on an F-150 Lightning, you're going to get it a little bit sooner. And that is good news. Speaking of good news, Tesla has delivered a record number of vehicles throughout 2021. In 2021, Tesla delivered 936,000 cars. That number is crazy. But let me tell you how crazy that number is. Tesla in 2020 delivered 499,647 cars, which means that in 2021, they increased that number by 87%, which is nutso. Now, those of you might know their car lineup, but let's go over it quickly. The brand has two premium models, the Model S, which is a sedan, and the Model X, which is a big electric SUV. All their cars are electric. You didn't need to say that, but hey, I did. Here we are. And then they have two smaller offerings. The Model Y, a smaller SUV, and the Model 3, a smaller sedan. Think about those cars like a 3 Series and like an X3, all right? So what was the sales breakdown within Tesla within those four vehicles? Well, Tesla, of those 936,000 vehicles delivered, only 24,390 were the Model S and the Model X, which means that a whopping 900,000+ vehicles that were delivered in the year 2021 were the Model 3 and Model Y, which speaks to a couple things. Number one, the vehicles that make more money per unit for Tesla are not delivering the market share, which makes sense. It makes sense that a brand is going to sell a car that costs $50,000 more than they're going to sell a car that costs $90,000 or $100,000. But to that big of a discrepancy, I don't know if I would have expected that going into last year. In Q4 alone, Tesla delivered 308,600 cars. Now, how did they do this? There was a chip shortage. There was all this stuff going on still that affected a lot of legacy automakers. Well, Tesla made shifts. Just like BMW removed lumbar control from their X3s to deliver them. Just like Chevrolet removed stop-start. Just like Hyundai removed navigation from some of their vehicles to deliver them, Tesla did the same. Not only did they remove things like passenger lumbar in cars like the Model 3 and Model Y, but they also removed radar sensors from those vehicles, making their autopilot and full self-driving based entirely on cameras, which is something that Tesla wanted to work towards, but given the constraints and the problems of COVID in 2021, they expedited that process so they could continue to deliver vehicles on time. But that growth is not going to stop there. If you'll remember, Tesla has the Cybertruck coming. Tesla has the Semi coming. Tesla has the Roadster coming. And Tesla also has another new vehicle coming that is going to slot below the Model 3 and supposedly be well under that $40,000 MSRP mark. So look for Tesla to continue to grow throughout 2022 and into the decade. But our last bit of news comes by way from the fine folks over at Mercedes-Benz. Guys, you got to check this car out. This is the brand new Mercedes EQXX. Now, before I get into this any further, this is a PSA that this car is a concept car. This is not a production vehicle that Mercedes has announced just yet. This is merely a design study to showcase to you what an electric car will look like potentially in the future, given the capabilities that this car has. So we're going to do a stat breakdown, and then we're going to talk about my thoughts on the Mercedes EQXX. Okay, stat breakdown. Range, 621 miles. Weight, 3,858 pounds, which is actually remarkably light for an electric car. And Mercedes was able to do so by giving this thing magnesium wheels, aluminum brake discs, carbon and glass reinforced plastic doors, and just overall leveraging a lot of lightweight materials when it came to constructing a lot of the pieces in this car. The EQXX also has a solar panel roof that adds 15.5 miles of range per day. Now, if you watch the videos on this channel, you know we've talked about the Aptera Motors EV that also has solar panels that also give it a good amount of range per day, and it seems like a big legacy automaker is going down that route as well with the EQXX. And 15.5 miles a day, by the way, is just over half of what the average American drives every day in their commute. So you'll be able to get half of that from the sun alone, provided you don't park your EQXX in a garage. All right, let's continue. The coefficient of drag is 0.17, which is 0.03 better than the brand's EQSS, and it would be the lowest coefficient of drag of any vehicle by a long shot if it was released in production as is. And I know what you guys are thinking, T, look at this thing. It must be super fast. And I'll tell you what, it's not. This is not an AMG. The main goal of this car was efficiency. And as a result, 201 horsepower out of a single motor in this vehicle powering it. I'm sure it'll get along and move just fine, but this isn't going to rip your face off like a Tesla Model S Plaid would. Inside, you'll find a massive 47.5 8K touch screen, and it is just one. So while it's not as large as the screen real estate that is in the Mercedes-Benz EQS, it's just one screen, not three, and it's gorgeous. Look at how long that screen is and just how crystal clear the display is and what the possibilities of that would mean. Now let's continue by talking about the materials used. Seats are made from upholstery derived from cactus. Detailing on the seats is vegan leather from mushrooms. The non-structural elements in the floor are made from a sustainable plastic that's made from landfill waste from gardens, from diapers, and other things. Yes, I did say diapers. At the end of the day, the ethos is efficiency, which is why this car looks how it looks. Checking out this picture here, you can see this car shares a lot with other cars that were built in the name of efficiency, like the Volkswagen XL1, and I can't help but look at that front end and think Kia EV6. That's all the time that we have for in the first news episode here on the MoneyShift YouTube channel. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you would want to add. And if you liked this show, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe button for weekly news updates. We'll see you next time.